Lightforce Dagger. At the start of every match, players jump in as Dagger, so knowing her abilities early on is key. Her main attack, Lightforce Dagger, is a fast projectile that can bounce off walls and has light homing, locking onto the nearest ally or enemy near your crosshair. This ability does two things. It heals allies and damages enemies. To get the most out of the healing, try aiming at clusters of teammates. The healing splash will hit everyone nearby and quickly boost her ultimate charge. Dagger can also heal herself with this splash effect, as long as she's close to where the dagger lands, whether she's aiming at an enemy or ally. She gets some of that healing too. Dagger Storm. Dagger's secondary fire, Dagger Storm, throws out a projectile that creates a big glowing bubble on impact, healing anyone inside it over time. This is her main way to keep herself alive, especially during longer fights. The bubble sticks to any surface, walls, floors, even ceilings, and it stays active even if you switch to Cloak right after. Since the healing is shared equally among everyone inside, the more teammates you have standing in it, the more value you get. It's especially strong at choke points, where your team is grouped and moving slowly. Dropping a Dagger Storm there lets your whole team soak up healing ya. Veil of Lightforce. Veil of Lightforce sends out a glowing rectangular wave that moves straight ahead, healing any teammates it passes through. On top of the initial heal, it also currently gives allies a 15% healing boost from all sources for the next 4 seconds. So even if you're planning to shift focus to offense for a bit, tagging your teammates with this first helps them stay alive without you babysitting them. To get the most out of it, try standing on level ground behind your team, so the Veil can pass through as many allies as possible in a straight shot. Darkforce Cloak. Now, let's talk about Cloak's abilities. Cloak's primary fire, Darkforce Cloak, is a continuous beam attack that locks onto the closest enemy in range. It does solid, rapid damage and never runs out of ammo, because it auto-tracks like daggers. Attack. It's great against slippery duelists and strategists that are hard to hit with slower projectiles. If your team is struggling to land hits on mobile enemies, Cloak can fill that gap really well. The trade-off. Darkforce Cloak has limited range, so you'll often need to move ahead of your team to stay on your target. That puts you at risk, especially if you chase too far and get caught out. If that happens, you might be forced to burn your Dark Teleportation just to get back to safety. Use it wisely. Dark Teleportation. Cloak's secondary fire, Dark Teleportation, surrounds him with a big energy field that turns him and nearby teammates invisible, immune to all damage and crowd control, and gives a movement speed boost. This invulnerability is strong enough to dodge even enemy ultimates, like Iron Man's Pulse Cannon or Jeff's Giant Shark Leap. Even though it's not listed, Cloak can fully control his vertical movement during this ability, letting him fly up or down while phasing. Super useful for slipping away from flankers or diving behind cover. Best practice? Save it. Don't use Dark Teleportation casually. In most games, you'll want to keep it ready to dodge high-threat enemy plays or rescue your team from a bad fight. Terror Cape. Terror Cape is a dark purple wave that travels in a straight line, similar in look to Dagger's Veil of Lightforce. It blocks enemy vision as it moves and currently briefly blinds them for 1.5 seconds, while also applying vulnerability, increasing all damage they take by 20% for 3 seconds. The blind might sound short, but it's huge in practice. That split-second window can stop an enemy from finishing off a teammate, interrupt ultimates like Star-Lords that need tracking, or just give your team space to reposition. It's best used either to initiate a teamfight, amplifying the damage your team deals right after, or to peel for allies when they're being hunted down. Catching even one key target in Terror Cape can swing the fight your way. Shadows and Light's Embrace. Shadows Embrace for Dagger and Light's Embrace for Cloak let you instantly swap between the two heroes. Swapping also reloads both primary fires, giving you a quick damage or healing reset. If you think your team's about to need something specific, like Cloak's Dark Teleportation for a clutch escape or Dagger's Dagger Storm for healing a choke. Swap ahead of time so that ability is ready when things go down. Also, you'll always see the cooldowns of the other hero's abilities just above your ult bar, bottom right of your screen. That makes it easier to time your swaps and avoid switching when nothing is available. Eternal Bond. Cloak and Dagger's ultimate, Eternal Bond, where they zip across the ground with 4 fast-spinning dashes, leaving behind glowing trails that heal allies and hurt enemies who step on them. You can change direction between each dash, but remember, the healing damage only works on the trail and trails don't stack, so don't overlap your path. This ult can out-heal most damage over time abilities, like Punisher's ult, but it won't save you from burst damage. Things like a Magneto or Hawkeye ult can still one-shot you mid-dash. One more thing, your last dash matters. If you end up deep in enemy territory, you'll probably get picked off. Make sure that 4th dash lands you somewhere safe. From shadow to light, this is a passive ability, so you don't need to do anything to use it. Moon Knight gains access to full moon, which lets him turn invisible by making a small spell field around himself. The team up can be useful sometimes, but it's usually not worth asking your teammates to switch to Moon Knight for it. Overview. Cloak and Dagger are easily one of the strongest strategists in competitive play. One form is all about healing, while the other focuses on dealing damage. To really make them work, you've got to get the hang of switching between both sets of abilities and managing their cooldowns. Most of the time, you'll be using Dagger more, since her main job is keeping the team alive with a ton of healing. Thanks to her long range and auto-aim healing, you can hang out in safer spots off to the side or in the back line, away from all the incoming damage. Cloak, on the other hand, has solid damage, especially after hitting enemies with Terror Cape. He's really good at finishing off fights and picking up KOs once things start to wind down.
I bet you can click on the next video before the time runs out. 3, 2, 1. You lose.